I'm here today with Ben Harvey. Ben is the co-founder of Authentic Education here in Sydney, Australia. Authentic Education is committed to helping people make a difference while being extremely successful and really creating a profitable business out of their message, their mission, and their values. A little more about you. You've delivered over 8,000 one-on-one coaching sessions. You've consulted with some of the largest organizations in Australia, including Optus, IBM, and Commonwealth Bank. And just on a personal note, I'm really excited about being here with you today. We're going to be talking about a lot, but specifically I would say we are interested in, viewers and me, in why we don't accomplish 9 out of 10 of our goals. We'll be talking about goal setting and how it really doesn't work, and the value of discovering your values and your mission and your vision. And also I'd love to get into your personal journey. I know you talk a lot about that on stage when you are in front of people, but yeah, I'd like to go there. So in a recent course that I did with you, actually last day, you really emphasized, I just thought it was amazing, this whole notion that goal setting is something that a lot of life coaches, and it happens a lot in business consulting environments, goal setting is like the first access way in to kind of getting aware or making your life work. And you say specifically that 9 out of 10 goals don't work, that when people are doing goal setting, 9 out of 10 of those goals don't work. So I'm just fascinated by that whole world and the reasons for it, and also you tie it into the brain. So if you could talk about that, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the thing that I've found most predominantly when it comes to personal development is there is a model out there that is designed to kind of create the biggest gap possible between where you are and where you want to be. And people believe that the bigger the gap, the more drive you have to go out there and achieve things. And that's somewhat correct, but then it's somewhat incorrect as well. So there's kind of two camps you want to work out which one you want to jump into. And in life I've found that there are definitely two distinct types of people. There are people that like to achieve things, so people who like to get up every day and drive themselves to that next peak, that next pinnacle, that next great success. And I find that those people often don't allow themselves to be too present in the moment. They're always striving, they're always behind, they're never quite complete. And the only time they have meaning is when they've ticked a box. But once they tick that box, they lose all their meaning. The other camp you can jump into is the camp of fulfillment. And this is the camp where every day you wake up and you do something fulfilling. You're not behind, you're not trying to catch up to anything, you're not trying to tick any box. You're just literally enjoying life as it is and finding the things that bring you the feelings that are most inspiring to you. So I guess the first thing that you and your viewers would want to do is pick which camp they want to go into. Because both camps work, and there's nothing wrong with either of them. It's just, you've got to pick the right one for you. And if you're an achievement-orientated person, fantastic, go and set goals. And what you'll find with achievement-orientated people is when they get to the very end of their life, they look back at their life and they'll judge their entire life by the things they achieved and the things they failed at. And instead of having, I guess, a blissful transition, they'll be thinking about all the things they didn't do, and then up pop things like bucket lists, and up pop things like the top 5 regrets that Bonnie Ware, one of those palliative nurses, discovered, and realised that one of the top regrets was that people wish they had the courage to live a life true to themselves, not the life others expected of them. So people sit in the achievement camp are often living a life that's not true to themselves, but a life that they thought others expected of them, that they were meant to go and create all these incredible things and keep achieving and achieving and achieving. If you jump into the fulfillment camp though, when you get to the end of your life, you'll look back at it and you won't judge your life by the achievements you've had. You'll judge your life by every single moment and the fact that you were fulfilled in that experience. So you don't ever feel like you're missing anything if you've had fulfilling moments day in, day out. But you will feel like you've missed something if everything you're trying to do is achieve the next great thing. Because your mind will never stop that cycle. It'll be this endless trying to get to the next place, and as soon as you get there, you don't stop and enjoy it. So, as I said, there's nothing wrong with either of the two. I used to live in the achievement camp. I used to love it. I used to always be driving myself and striving and following along and setting all my goals and waking up stressed and behind and trying to hit the next financial target or the next whatever. And that was fine, but I realized it's not a long-term sport. It sort of wears you out a bit, that one. And I just found I was quite drained. And I was wondering, why am I so stressed out? And I realized I was stressed out because of all these goals I'd set. And if I got rid of all my goals, all my stress would pretty much go. So I decided to transition across into the fulfillment camp and slowly just started to look for things that I wanted to do that were fulfilling. And I guess something that your viewers want to really start to tune into is just doing a different way of goal setting. And what I like to do is called reverse goal setting. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, I guess, contrary to what you'd be taught inside the seminars. And I know it kind of rubs people up the wrong way because we've been conditioned to say, you know, go set a goal, you know, go and achieve that goal and keep your mission moving and never stop expanding. And we hear it everywhere. And I guess what I found is that when you want to set a goal, the best thing to do is to reverse the goal. So do a reverse goal setting. And what I like to do is I like to write down all the feelings that I'd like to feel as opposed to the things I'd like to have. Because at the end of the day, if you give me a brand new car or something, I'm going to get a feeling from that. And that feeling is the thing that I'm actually going to enjoy the most out of the new car. So people are going to say, oh, you know, I really want to have this fancy new sports car. But the fact is they're not going to live in that car all day long.
Right.
At best, they're probably going to drive it for like an hour a day if they're lucky, right? So this feeling you're going to get from your new car, you're only going to experience for an hour a day. But why would you limit it to that when you could actually experience the feeling of a new car for the entire day simply by creating the feeling in your body without the requirement of the car? So what I like to do is work out what feelings do I want to feel, make a list of them, pick out the top 3 or 4 that I really want to feel, and then I work out what activities during the day I can do that make me feel like that. So once I've determined that, so let's just say that I want to feel expansion, I want to feel challenges, I want to feel enjoyment, I want to feel successful. I write those feelings out and then I think to myself, what sort of activities can I do today that will bring me those feelings?
Now, are those goals though? Those how I want to feel today? Or would you say that's a goal?
It could be. It could be a different version of a goal, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a desire that you'd like to have. It could be the goal for the day, for sure. Yeah, it depends what your definition of goals are. And I think anything like that you desire in a day, you could class that as a goal. But I'd call that more of a desire or an intent for the day. So I pick the feelings I want to feel. Then I work out the activities that will bring me those feelings. So let's just say I want to feel a challenge today. Well, a challenge might come from me going to the gym and seeing how many times I can bench press, whatever, 70 kilos. And as I'm doing that bench pressing, I'll sense that feeling of challenge. Now, if I keep doing that every day to get that feeling of challenge, that activity is going to build momentum. It's going to gain a compounding effect.
Right.
And 6 months or 12 months from now, I'm going to have the physique that I probably might have set as a goal in some other goal-setting workshop. But instead of focusing on the goal, what I've done is I've reversed it. I've focused on the feeling. I've started to do the action every day that brings me that feeling, and then that action compounds into a result. And this is how I found to have a much more stress-free life. Because if you actually got rid of all the goals in your life and just focused on activities day in, day out that brought you fulfillment, they're naturally going to compound anyway, and they're going to bring you goals regardless. You won't be able to avoid them. So a lot of people say, you know, I want to be a best-selling author, I want to write a book.
Right.
But when they go to write the book, they realize it's one of the most arduous tasks your brain can contemplate.
Yeah, sure.
And it's probably as boring as it gets, unless you love writing. I'm not going to deny that. But a lot of people don't love writing, but they want to have a book. And 20 years later, they still don't have a book. And the reason being is because the task is so painful. But if they just set a system or a process in place that said, well, I like the feeling of achievement. I like the feeling of getting something complete at the end of it. I like that sense of completion at the end of a day. You know when you've done everything and you've just got that sense of completion. So you might find that by writing, say, 100 words a day, you get that feeling. Mm-hmm. So what you start to do is just write 100 words a day, 100 words on anything. Write 100 words about what you had for breakfast. Write 100 words about who you saw in the park. Write 100 words about what sort of clothes you wore. Write 100 words about the conversations you had. Pretty soon, in a couple of months, you'll have written thousands of words. And in a year, you'll have written tens of thousands of words. And before you know it, you'll have written a book, because a book really only contains about 50 to 60,000 words. But if you go to write a book, it's a lot more challenging than if you just committed to some type of process that brought you a feeling that you enjoy in the present moment. So what I've definitely found is the people who are really successful, they commit to a process that brings them a feeling that they would like to feel, and that process compounds and spits out goals, whether you like it or not.
You know, you mentioned the research that the nurse did on what people say when they're on their deathbeds. And one of the things that I know in that research they found was it was relationship based.
Mm.
You know, it was a feeling of either they had great relationships and were very appreciative, or there was regret around not being connected to the people in their life. Would you say that in the goal camp, there's a potential for that happening more, that you're not connected to the people in your life because you're so set, you know, you're so focused on losing weight or winning a gold medal or, you know, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I think when you're focused on a goal, you're focused on getting to the point. Yeah. So it's kind of like by default, and not always, but you are almost just using everyone you meet to get to that place.
Right.
So it's kind of like, you know, I want to do this interview because this interview is going to get me to this next speaking gig. That next speaking gig is going to get me to that next stage. That next stage will get me to that next country. Then the next country. So really, I'm just going to use you now, not really connect with you, because what I'm really trying to do is get to the next point. So because I'm trying to get to the next point, I'm not going to be here with you. And so what I found is definitely goal setting has a tendency to take you out of the present moment. Yeah. Because instead of just enjoying the swim in the pool, you're only swimming in the pool because you want the abs. So instead of enjoying the laps you just did, the laps were the only doing the laps to get to the abs. And so you miss the enjoyment of swimming in a pool. So what people I find a lot with goal setting is they basically miss the fulfillment of the activity itself. Like Roger Federer is not training during the day going, I can't wait till this training session's over. I mean, I can't wait. So
that I can win Wimbledon.
Yeah, I just can't wait till the coach says time's up. Right. He gets on the court because he loves tennis. He doesn't care if he's playing Wimbledon or not. He just loves the game. Yeah. So whether he's playing with his friend, playing on the side, playing with his coach, or playing in Wimbledon, it doesn't make a difference. He loves the action. You know, he falls in love with the process. And so people need to learn to fall in love with the process, not the end result of the process. And in doing that, you immediately hit fulfillment.
And you can be present, more present.
Totally.
It's such a great example to use the interview as an example, because I have had.
Actually, I got somewhere to be. No, I'm kidding.
I've had just amazing aha moments, breakthroughs in some of your courses, and really doing an interview with you is also me just wanting to, you know, develop more of a relationship with you. What I'm really interested in, especially in working with clients, is the whole system around value setting and how that relates to goals. So we talk about the importance of values. So I just thought we could go there for a few minutes to talk about, like, what are values, where they, there's a whole reason why to do values, why to set your highest value, why to be connected from the brain research point of view as well. So I just thought we could kind of go there for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. So I guess values, at the end of the day, give you a feeling. I mean, it really does all come back to the feeling. That's the most important thing people need to understand, is that everything you're doing is to feel something. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get a feeling in your body. And so when I'm doing something that's high on my values, I do get a certain feeling in my body. And people could call that a state of flow. They could call it a state of expansion, a state of enthusiasm, a state of inspiration. But we are doing things that make us feel good predominantly. So if we kind of look at the entire human race and you stop them on the street and you ask them a series of questions, you're basically going to find that everybody only really has kind of two things in common. Well, they've got probably a few more things, but generally they've got blood going through their veins. They've all got that in common. And the second thing they've got in common is that they like to feel good. So you stop 100,000 people and you ask them, do you like to feel good? Every one of them is going to say, yes, I do. So I guess we like to feel good, so we strive to find things that make us feel good. And our values is a construct in our mind of activities and experiences that we have deemed to make us feel good at any given time. So, for example, if we were to put a $100 note here and I was going to say, okay, let's go spend that $100 note, what are you going to spend it on?
I'd probably spend it on a course, transformational, spiritual. I'd probably spend it on one of your courses, Beth.
Brilliant. I'll just take that money back. Yeah. Fantastic. It's perfect use of your money. Yeah. Well, if I had a $100 note here, I would take that $100 note. I would go and get some gold class movie tickets. I'd go and watch a movie and I'd have a nice meal. So if we've got a $100 note here and we were sharing that $100 note, you'd want to spend it on a course. But if you spent it on a course, I wouldn't feel good. Right. But I want to spend it on a movie. If I spent it on a movie, you wouldn't feel good. because you're going to get the best feeling by spending the money on your highest values. And I'm going to get the best feeling by spending the money on my highest values. And so inadvertently, what values really are external activities quite often that you complete or do or enter into.
So it's behavior?
I guess so. It can be on a certain level. It depends how you look at values. Yeah. People have different ideas of values. Sometimes people think that values are like compassion and honesty. And other people think values are like bushwalking and hiking. So it all comes back to what you determine values to be. And I guess on some level it's a combination of all of that. But if we really look deeper into it, it's the thing that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And what I mean by feel good is not emotional. I'm not talking about emotions. Emotions are, a great friend of mine, Dr. John DeMartini, calls emotions distortions of the mind. I think that's a great explanation of what emotions really are. Emotions sort of arise and drop away, and they're kind of intense for a short time, and then they vanish, whereas feelings contain a subtle consistency throughout your life. So when I'm talking about a feeling, I'm not talking about emotions. I'm talking more about subtle vibrations, sensations in the body.
And energy, right?
Yeah, I guess, for want of a better phrase, for sure. So when we're looking at our values, we're looking at things that make us feel good, as in a good sensation, a good vibration moving through our body. We wouldn't call that exhilaration. We wouldn't call it overabundance of joy. We'd just call it a sensation that just feels good. That's kind of the gist of it. So we're looking for things that do that. And for me, I love speaking. That makes me feel good. I absolutely love that. I love going to the movies. That makes me feel good. I love hanging out with people. I love doing interviews. That makes me feel good. I love teaching content. That makes me feel good. So they're the things that I've worked out that make me feel good. So they're my values. So if I have an afternoon spare, then I would probably want to go and present, or I'd want to go to the movies. But if you wanted me to come, I don't know, and do a macrame class, right? I'm not going to feel so good.
US viewers, you have to define what macrame is, because we don't know what that. I never knew what that was until I lived in Australia for a while.
So macrame is that ancient art of folding paper into all different types of shapes. I hope that's what it is.
Okay.
Is it? I don't know. What is macrame? Does anyone know what macrame is?
I'm not sure what it is.
For you watching this, if I don't know what macrame is, it has no reference on the quality of our education. But whatever macrame, is it macrame?
Something.
Is that paper mache? Maybe it's paper mache.
Okay.
Anyway, art's not my strong suit.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't come to the course with you. So the thing is if you wanted me to go to this macrame origami course, I would not like to go there. And the reason I wouldn't like to go there is because I wouldn't enjoy it. Yeah. I wouldn't feel good while doing it. So the best way to think of values is the things that make you feel good. And so it goes to pass that if you set goals in alignment with the things that make you feel good, you're going to naturally achieve them. Because the things that make you feel good, you get more organized with them, you're more disciplined with them, you think about them more, you focus on them more, you learn about them more, you talk about them more.
Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't even feel like discipline. The discipline, we have this kind of, there's a bit of a negative, to be disciplined, it almost means suffering or something. But I know when I'm aligned with my values, it just feels natural. It's like natural self-expression. I'm just doing that because it's,
well, they've got, the Buddhists have this phrase called freedom from discipline. And I thought it was freedom from being disciplined, but then I sat deeper into it and I realized it was having freedom by having this thing called discipline. Right. So discipline, I don't necessarily deem it as a construct that is overly negative. I kind of see it like, it's like being reliable.
Right.
Being reliable in an area.
I exercise almost every day.
You're totally reliable in that.
And I'm totally reliable. And people say, well, how do you do that every day? I'm like, well, I don't know how I wouldn't do that every day. It's just a natural, it's not like suffering.
Yeah.
So I see, and because it makes me feel good.
That's it.
So I can see how that would totally relate.
And from the outside, we would say, wow, how disciplined she is.
Well, because a lot of people don't have that habit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of what you find with, it's very hard to get in the way of someone wanting to feel good. Right?
It's so interesting because a lot of times, especially in the spiritual transformational world, maybe not the spiritual world, in transformational learning, they talk about not being led by your feelings. Follow your commitments, follow your word, align to something that's really important and not being in touch with your feelings per se. So it's interesting because it's almost like the way you're describing feelings, it's almost like a different definition. For me, it's like energy, it's sensation, it's alignment, and I don't know if I was trained to actually live my life that way naturally. As a child, I just don't. Kind of how teachers. No one said, "Oh, does this subject feel good to you?" But
Totally,
the
but they should
subjects
have.
that I loved did feel really good.
Of course, and that's why you did them. That's why you studied. That's why you loved it. So, I guess I don't want to be too much of a naysayer, but unfortunately, a lot of the teachers out there, their programs are designed to have you trapped in an idea that is unattainable, and then they get you to try and attain that for the rest of your life. And I guess the search for that which is unattainable is the way that we keep you trapped in this concept. So if we say, hey, don't ever follow your feelings, don't ever listen to them, stick to this thing, you're going to try and do something that's not naturally what you're meant to be doing, and you'll struggle the rest of your life trying to do it. But in doing so, you'll stay trapped inside that system of
paradigm.
Yeah, that paradigm.
Hey, thanks for watching Alexandra Joy TV. If you want to find out more about how you can create anything and that anything is possible, please click subscribe.